Good morning, Mario.
Okie dokie.
Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Let the new countdown begin, because it's a post-direct day, and that means it's time to start waiting once again, but hopefully it's not 530 days of waiting, am I right? I really don't think it will be, because we're already kicking it off with new leaks of new Zelda games coming in 2021. Yeah, the 35th anniversary celebration, it's just getting started. Plus, some interesting folks have dug deep into the code of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and they found hints of another playable character. So we gotta discuss that. And I wanna talk about all the Nintendo hatred, because goodness gracious, honestly, it's making me a little bit sad. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. We got a big show for you today. Smash that like button to show some support. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you aboard. Good Morning Mario is our awesome news roundup, recap, rumor, leak, impression, passion project we put out every weekday morning. It's a great time. We got tea. We got mugs straight from the Nintendo store in Tokyo, one of my dream shopping spots. Hope to go one day, but eBay will do the trick in the meantime. But we've got to talk about all the interesting things that are happening. And I wanna know in the comments down below how you're feeling after a day of the Direct. And if the things I'm gonna tell you today, the new leaks, if they up your mood, or if they keep it the same, or if you already were happy, kinda like I feel right now. But let's start with Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. A lot of the talk before the game was, would Daisy be in this one? Would they add another playable character, a sixth playable character, to this multiplayer Mario mayhem? The answer was no. But data miners, we know them from Animal Crossing New Horizons. They like to seek out and see what is coming in the game, or what's in the files, or what wasn't quite materialized. And they have found a ton on another playable character. But the irony here is that Nintendo was never planning on Daisy at all, but they were planning on Toadette, it seems. They found 214 animations, as well as a voice line for selecting Toadette that indicates at one point Nintendo was planning to have the pink little Petunia as a playable character.
Here I go.
Since they have a voice line, I have to imagine that she was gonna be a main choice, and somebody that probably had a slightly different moveset / stat parameters than her brother Toad or the rest of the Mario clan, but it did not happen. Now, is there a chance this comes as DLC? Well, there is a chance since there are so many files in the game, but my first inkling would be no. This is a Wii U port, and they typically don't update those well beyond its second release. And yet the Captain Toad title comes to mind. The Toad name is just special because they did update Captain Toad Treasure Tracker well after it released on Switch. They launched the special episode as DLC and brought new content to that old game, so there is a chance, and there must just be magic around this Toad family, and I would be very eager to see how she plays. But it does feel a bit ironic and kind of a slap in the face of Daisy. So underappreciated, so unloved. And I wanna know if you would like a new character in Super Mario 3D World eventually as DLC, even if it's not the really hyped and hoped for Daisy. Toadette? She tiny? Toad? Not my favorite in 3D World, but maybe she'd have some interesting moves, and I'll always take more when it comes to Mario games. All right, I know you've been waiting for the Zelda news, so let me give it to you. Yesterday in the Nintendo Direct, Aonuma said Breath of the Wild 2, not ready. Skyward Sword HD, coming in July, and people were like, that's all you got? Well, hey, the Mario 35th anniversary isn't even over, and according to some very reliable journalists, it really seems like the Zelda party really hasn't even fully started to flesh itself out, because according to Andy Robinson of VGC and according to Tom Phillips of Eurogamer, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD are both coming to Switch this year. Andy Robinson says for those disappointed with the Skyward Sword remaster, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are 100% coming this year. So that's at least one good 3D Zelda. Ouch. And Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer responded to someone saying, well, look on the bright side, if you already have Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Wii U, you don't have to rebuy them again. And Tom Phillips said, see you in a couple months. Now, it's not clear if Tom means that the games will be releasing in a couple of months, or there will be a Zelda Direct announcing them in a couple of months. But what is clear is that Nintendo does want to wait for the Mario paraphernalia and celebration to fully wrap. That'll be closing and saying goodbye, literally, in the case of Mario 3D All-Stars, on March 31st, so a Zelda Direct in April or maybe even May does make sense. It was planned to have a Mario 35th anniversary Direct around that time, and it got severely delayed due to COVID, the pandemic, and all the chaos in 2020. So I could see a new show releasing then, but I also could see Nintendo slotting these games in around then as well. Now, the order of these releasing will be quite a curious thing to see, because on one hand, Skyward Sword is the most recent Zelda, so it could go last, but on the other hand, that's the one that they are promoting the most, so it probably should go first. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm curious at how you feel about 3 Zelda games from the past that all will probably cost $60. Skyward Sword is already taking flack for being full price. I mean, it's hard to expect anything else. Every Wii U port to Nintendo Switch has cost the full $60. But on the heels of Mario 3D All-Stars, which compiled 3 games for $60, I think everyone was hoping for a Zelda collection. Now, there is some chance that they bundle Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD together for $60, given that they both did already release. But that would feel awkward that Skyward Sword was for some reason twice the cost of 2 other Zelda games that are by all accounts loved even more. So I think they're all gonna be individually sold at full price. And now you gotta think, why was Mario Galaxy only worth 1/3 of the price of a game, and Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, which are all from the same era or older, are worth triple jam? Nintendo is a little bit odd with their pricing. We've talked about the Switch tax many times over the years, and we know that these ports do up in price. I mean, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze saw an increase when it released on Switch. Miitopia is seeing an increase when it releases on Switch, and we probably need to do a full video diving into the ethics and ideas and just all the feelings around Nintendo's pricing structure as of late. But right now, you're gonna get a lot of Zelda, and you're gonna pay a lot if you want it. Now, will they release a collection of some sorts? I still think that's a possibility, because it would be weird that Nintendo just put out all of these games and expected you to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Will they do some sort of really old collection? Do they, for some reason, value the Zelda IP more than the Mario IP? Or do they just know that fans are eager to pay and play and will pump out the cash to get these things handheld and portable? You know, you had 64, Sunshine, and Odyssey. Will they do Ocarina of Majora and Oracle and Minish Cap? And I don't know. I think those titles will end up being on the Virtual Console and Nintendo Switch Online service. And right now, I really feel like you're gonna be spending $180 if you want the Zelda Anniversary Collection, which is a ton of money. Like, you're getting a bunch of Zelda games, but that's a lot to spend for re-releases. Like, Mario Galaxy hadn't even been re-released, and it was basically 20 bucks. These games, we've already paid for them once at release, once at re-release, and a 3rd time on Switch. Whew, that feels like the heart of Ganon, not the heart of Princess Zelda. The good news, though, is that Andy Robinson and Tom Phillips are highly credible, highly reputable. They're not leakers, they're not insiders, they're just straight journalists. So if they say it's happening, I 100% trust them. And this is much less a rumor than it is a leak, and it's almost a confirmation, because 2 dudes that have big brands behind them and would not risk themselves on something they don't believe in and don't know, they're saying it's happening. So get ready for Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword on your Switch, and breathe a sigh of relief, because the Zelda plans have only just begun. And I think we're gonna get a full-on Direct in the future here, and there'll probably be even more. Maybe some side little things, some merch opportunities, maybe a Nintendo Switch Online game kind of like Mario 35, and potentially some doomsday dates where everything goes whoosh. Not for Skyward Sword, but maybe if there's a collection, they want to wipe it off the face of the earth. You know, Majora's Mask, the moon crashes down, the game can't be bought after 3 days, something like that. Could be interesting. But now let's talk about all of this hatred that's been happening. I mean, Nintendo fans are fickle. So excited for the Direct to happen, so hyped, so many viewers. It was such a big moment. And then down with the swords of destruction and disappointment immediately after. And here's my take on it after sleeping a night. Look, I understand. You've been waiting 500 days for a Direct, and I think if your franchise wasn't shown, you didn't get your Metroid, you didn't get your Breath of the Wild, you're waiting for Golden Sun or Donkey Kong or something of the sort, your fear is that you'll have to wait another 500 days to see that again. So like, this was your one chance. This was your one moment. But I want to tell you that I believe that Nintendo doesn't view it like we do. They don't sit there and say, oh gosh, it's been 530 days, we better put everything into this Direct. Like, they're operating from their company standpoint. They've got their calendar, they know what's coming out, they understand where their presentations will fall, they know how work from home is going, how work from office is going, what they can put together, what they can release. And there was no way that this show was ever going to make up for a year and a half of no general directs. Like, they weren't gonna put all those games that they've been saving into this show, because honestly, they still released most of them. We didn't get directs the last year and a half, but we did get games. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Paper Mario, like a lot of things came out that would have been showcased at directs. So in terms of what they did have to show, I think it was pretty cool. Like, it was for the first half, and I will continue to harp on the fact that Nintendo tried to set up, this is the first half lineup. It is February. To think that that's all they have for the year, to think that it's over, to think you're getting nothing in October, November, December, it's just bonkers. They absolutely have more presentations planned, they absolutely have more releases planned, and Nintendo has done a diligent job of ensuring that they can deliver on release dates without delay. So they don't want to tell you when Breath of the Wild 2 is coming. They don't want to show their really heavily rumored Metroid project that people are still doubling down on. They don't want to talk about maybe a new DK or a new Mario Kart or anything on those fronts because they're not sure when they can release. People say, why show Splatoon 3? And I really like some of the insight I've been reading online. The fact that Splatoon is an evolving game, right? The game launches and then they continue to add content, they continue to do tournaments, Splatfest, things of the sort. So that game can release a little bit less finished than, say, Mario Odyssey 2 or Breath of the Wild 2. If they're gonna give you a 2022 date for Splatoon 3, they know they can put the game out in 2022. No delay or any issue is going to prevent that, because even if the game doesn't come out with 100% content, the expectation is that they'll add it in as they go, and therefore it makes sense to announce that one rather than something else. Plus, I really think it indicates that there is more coming this year that they need to save for E3. You can't go into E3 and say, well, we already talked about everything. Could be Breath of the Wild 2 still releasing this year, could be a Switch Pro still coming out, could be a plethora of games. New Kirby, new DK, new Metroid, new Mario Kart. There's a lot of options. But believe you me, Nintendo is not done. And yet I get the frustration. I get the feelings of, hey, we waited, I was so hopeful, and I was deflated. I was disgusted even. And the whole price controversy with Skyward Sword and how they continue to elevate the cost of titles that already existed. I understand, you can grab some of these games for like 20 bucks on Wii U, and they're gonna charge a full 60. So that's understandable. And I know the wait was grueling, but I think this is a good sign that we're gonna get more directs soon. This wasn't like one and done. They're not like, okay, see you in 2023. No, they're gonna come back in the summer with a direct. They might come back even sooner. And we know that they are now able to deliver Twitter releases, mini directs, partner showcases. Like, they have plenty of options. They have avenues that they had to establish in the absence of a big direct. So we're gonna hear from Nintendo. There's gonna be more games. There might even be another first half game. In fact, Nintendo did things of this sort where they announced Labo and Ring Fit Adventure shortly after their directs. And they said, hey, we got something quirky and new. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a quirky new game that still releases in the first half of 2021. And then the back half, you're gonna get new stuff. And whether Breath of the Wild 2 is able to hit or not, TBD. But I know Nintendo will have a heavy hitter for the holiday season. And if they are able to get that Switch Pro out, which they're probably waiting to figure out if they can produce enough, if they can make it happen, if there's gonna be any slowdown, it's gonna be a massive 2021. It's shaping up to be a great year, and I don't want you guys to be so down. Even if it wasn't your favorite direct, it by no means was the worst, and we still have a long ways to go, so try to keep your spirits up, okay? More Zelda stuff is coming. The price, I know, but more Zelda stuff is coming. Pokemon is hitting next week. Insiders are doubling down on a new direct hitting sometime next week before the anniversary, so I'm pumped to see if Diamond and Pearl remakes are real. Wind Detective Pikachu 2 is coming out, some new Pokemon Snap information, and who knows what else for their anniversary. But it's exciting times, and it's good times. And the directs are back, and that's a beautiful thing, because it means more are in store. We just gotta wait for it. So I'll keep the countdown running with all of you, and I'll see you tomorrow on another episode of Good Morning Mario. Let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling after a day. The direct was 50 minutes. It was fun. but it wasn't for everyone, even though they did try to spread the game announcements around all genres. I want to know how you're feeling now that you've slept on it, and if you're pumped for more Zelda, the HD series of Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and Wind Waker, but knowing it might cost you almost $200. $200 for 3 Zelda games that released over a decade ago. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. I cannot wait to see what Nintendo has in store, and we're gonna be playing it all together. So until next time, thanks again, everybody. SwitchForce out.